What's going on YouTube? It's Coach John back again with another video. I hope you're doing well today. In today's video, I want to talk to you about something that a lot of my clients and just a lot of people in general that maybe follow my advice or are trying to do it on their own or whatever it is, seem to be running into this issue with. And it's also something that I had slightly an issue with before, and I was obviously able to overcome it, which is why I want to make this topic. I think it'll help a lot of you out. Before we jump into it, I do want to mention that my one-to-one free consultation for my online fat loss coaching is available. So you can click on the link in the description below and you can apply and book your free consultation with me to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. So like I mentioned, something that's very common, this is something that's very common, and that is getting attached to the numbers. What do I mean by getting attached to the numbers? Well, I always preach data, and data is something that, people can lie, but numbers can't lie. Though it's true that numbers can't lie, it's also very important to know that numbers, when it comes to fitness, is only one part of the equation. So numbers would be things like tracking your body weight every day. I'm a big proponent of this because weekly averages will actually give you the best representation as to which direction your body weight is moving in. Notice I said which direction your body weight is moving in, not how fast or how much progress you are actually making. Because on the one hand, we can have somebody whose number on the scale is going down very quickly. However, if we zoom out 3 months down the line or over a span of 3 months, that very quick drop may have only lasted a few weeks. And on the other hand, somebody might be losing very, very fast for a long period of time. However, if we don't look at other things like progress pictures, measurements, how much protein they're intaking, their workout performance, and so on, then that number on the scale is only telling us that, yeah, their body weight's going down. However, a majority of that body weight could be lean muscle mass. And so it's not the same to just lose a certain amount on the scale. So those would be some numbers that people get attached to is body weight. That's actually the number one thing that people get attached to is, if they are trying to lose weight and lose fat, they think that, if the scale doesn't go down, they're not moving in the right direction or something's going wrong. And that could not be further from the truth, which is what I'm going to explain in a sec. Another thing that people get attached to is numbers in your workouts, right? So you want to try to get stronger as often as possible, ideally week to week in your workouts, but there are so many factors to that as well. How hydrated were you? What was your nutrition like the day before, the week before? What was timing like? How was your mood? How was stress levels? How are all these other intangible things that affected that workout? And so when people go into a workout and they don't get as strong or they don't beat the numbers that they had last time, they think it was almost like a waste of a workout, right? Or they think that they're doing something wrong or that they're stalling. Again, couldn't be further from the truth. So let's get into this real quick. First and foremost, an attachment to these numbers to the point where you have an expectation and the expectation is not met. So let's say you do very well in your diet, you work out quite a bit, and you expect the scale to go down the next day and it doesn't. This is the first issue, is the fact that you create an expectation because you think that numbers are the only thing that matter. What do I mean? Well, you think because you hit your numbers on the calories, you hit your numbers on the macros, you hit your numbers in the workout, you burned a certain amount of calories, that the number on the scale is a simple one-to-one equation, right? In other words, that's the only input, this should be the only output. But it is not the case. There are so many underlying physiological factors that you don't even know of, okay? Hydration is a big one. Very hard to quantify your hydration levels at any point. Total actual activity levels, like maybe I moved my hand a little bit more today than I did the other day, that's very difficult, pretty much impossible to quantify. Maybe you forgot that you took the stairs one day and you didn't the other. Very hard to quantify. Maybe you forgot that you had more sodium one day than the other. It caused some water retention. Very hard to determine and quantify. Maybe what you didn't realize is you actually have synthesized a little bit of muscle over this last week that has slightly bumped weight up due to excess glycogen retention in that muscle, and your body fat actually lowered a little bit, but it created a net increase. Again, how would you know that? Just by looking at the scale, right? So when people say that the scale doesn't tell the whole story, I always say that I agree to an extent. I agree to the fact that it doesn't tell the whole story itself, but it is a vital component to telling the whole story. So again, the only reason you are getting attached, or one of the only reasons you're getting attached to these numbers, is because you're creating an expectation that just because you hit your calories on point, you hit your workout calories burned, you know, feel like you did everything right, that it needs to lead to a drop on the scale. And it's just not always the case. A lot of the times it will probably happen, but there's also quite a few times that it won't. That's why we need to zoom out, look at month-to-month progress, look at year-to-year progress, and you should see trends in the right direction. Do not get caught up with the inevitable fluctuations that are going to come on a day-to-day and even week-to-week basis when it comes to these numbers. However, it's very important that we still get them. We need to get this data. If your weight fluctuates up, that's good. We need to just obtain the data, look at it objectively, say, okay, I gained, that's fine. I'm sticking to these calories and macros regardless. At the end of the week, I can see what the trend is from last week. And only then can you actually make a better assumption as to what is going on. So at the end of the week, after 7 pieces of data, if it shows that you actually gained weight from the last week, then you can make a pretty accurate assumption that you probably ate more calories than you burned most of the time throughout that week. But daily fluctuations are not that at all. A lot of times you can have a massive fluctuation up, but the average over the week is actually a lot less than the previous. So again, this is just data. Numbers are data. So the expectation is something you must get rid of. Follow and trust the process, especially if you have a coach on your side. All you're doing is creating unwanted and unnecessary and completely wasteful stress for no reason. So that is pretty much what it comes down to, is that you're not realizing that there are so many other factors beyond just that. Now, one way to lessen your attachment to the scale and these numbers, even with the workouts, is to make sure that you're taking all the different angles of progress measurement that we can have. So progress photos are important, measurements are important. You may stay the same weight, but your waist is going down. This is a clear indication that you are still losing body fat, or at least water weight, before you tap into the body fat. So that's a very powerful tool. Measurements, progress pictures, weigh-ins on the scale, calories and macros, workouts. You combine all those, and then the important part is zooming out after you've got collected 3 months worth of daily weigh-ins without attachment to any of them. Then you can make a more accurate decision or assumption as to what's going on with your body. If you look at 1 week to the next and you say, oh my God, I gained weight this week, what the hell's going on? There's a different issue at play there, and that's the fact that you have a short-term mentality. Whether you like it or not, your mentality is not set up to succeed in this long-term. Fitness is a long-term game. Fat loss, muscle gain is all a long-term play in the end. Because sure, you can lose 15 to 30 pounds in 12 weeks as we do on coaching, but what I do in my coaching is I empower you to learn how to do this on your own afterwards. And a lot of people do choose to continue because they feel like sometimes they need more time in order to develop the right habits, the discipline, the right mentality to approach this on their own in the future. So sure, you can lose fat in a shorter period of time, but it's still a long-term play, because if you gain it all back by the time the same time comes next year, then you actually made no progress in your health and fitness over that entire year. You see what I'm saying? So this is a long-term game. If you need help with the short-term mindset, watch this video right here and understand that short-term mindset is what creates stress about the scale, okay? The scale and the numbers are simply a tool that we use to determine, in combination with the other tools, if we're moving in the right direction. There is absolutely zero reason to get attached to the scale. It's only going to be due to insecurity, misunderstanding of not realizing that this is not a one-to-one equation. This has several factors within it, underlying physiological factors that come to play in that equation. Understand that you're going to have expectation is another reason, right? If you're expecting this number to go down, why do you expect that when you don't even know a lot of the things that are happening under the surface that could lead to a weight gain or a weight loss? All we can do is objectively gather the data, analyze it, and look at it over mass quantities, okay? 2 weeks is not enough for you to say this doesn't work or this does work. There's some tweaking that can be done after 1 week, after 2 weeks, but overall, you need to understand this is a long-term game, and if you don't understand that, you're going to create unnecessary stress that leads to people, essentially, it leads to it being fatal to their fitness results in the sense that they're gonna fall off, they're gonna start jumping from diet to diet, they're gonna look for a quick fix solution, again, the short-term mindset. Just because the scale didn't go down, did you not have a win yesterday? Did you not hit your calories on point or at least close to it? Did you not work out still and still do your best even though you didn't feel like it? Did you not stay pretty active all day? Did you not drink a lot of water? Look for other things throughout the day that show you that you're making progress. Progress isn't just the number. Again, it is actually the least amount of progress is shown by the number. It's more shown by things that are hard to quantify and measure, like the way you look, the way you feel, more importantly, the energy levels you have, the confidence you're gaining because you're actually staying true to the things you promised yourself you would do. So I hope that this makes sense. I hope that it helps. Understand once again, there is no reason for you to be attached to the scale. None. The only reason you would be attached is because you're creating an expectation. You're not understanding the fact that there's so much more at play. You're not looking at the data objectively, knowing that it's only one piece of the puzzle, not the most important piece, just one piece of a bigger pie. And lastly, you have a short-term mindset that's the reason that you're having all these other issues with it. So we must fix that. Again, watch the other videos on the channel to understand how to fix this, how to identify it so that you don't get attached to the numbers anymore. Because I promise you, there's gonna be a time when you hit everything on point. It happens to me all the time. And you're not gonna go down on the scale if you're trying to lose fat. And on the other hand, sometimes you mess up the whole day. You don't even track anything, and the scale goes exactly the way you want it to, okay? So release attachment. Allow the scale to say whatever it's going to say. You need to focus on trusting the process, making sure that it's the right process. If you're doing things on your own, you've never done it before, it's gonna be confusing and complicated. This is why I'm a coach, to shorten that process for you, to make it easier for you to learn how to do it on your own. So with that said, if you are interested in that, don't forget to apply with the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching as always. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe so I don't miss you in next week's video. All right, that's it. Take care. I'm out.